Richard D.Chapman was an American amateur golfer. Time magazine crowned Chapman the Ben Hogan of amateur golf. Chapman was born in Greenwich, Connecticut. He was the 1940 U.S. Amateur Golf Champion. He was a member of Winged Foot Golf Club in Mamaroneck, New York, which was the site of his first major triumph. He remains one of only 3 players to have won a USGA title on the home course. He holds a place in the Masters Tournament record book for the most appearances as an amateur, a distinction he shares with Charles Coe. Although Chapman was quite the international player, winning the 1951 British Amateur, he also won state amateur championships in Connecticut, Massachusetts, New York and the Carolinas. He also won the prestigious North and South Amateur. At the 1958 U.S. Amateur, Chapman and his son, Dixie, both qualified, giving a rare father and son appearance. Chapman's career was put on hold for World War II, where he served as a major in the U.S. Army Air Corps. After the war, Chapman picked up where he left off, with a string of victories in the British, French, Canadian, and Italian amateurs. Chapman is one of only 2 players who has won the U.S., British, and Canadian amateur championships. Blessed with a strong competitive spirit and an inquiring mind into the technicalities of the swing, reads the entry on Chapman in Who's Who in Golf. Chapman not only played the game but read about it and worked at its many phases. In the 1950s, Chapman collaborated with the USGA on a handicap format for foursomes play called the Chapman system. The system worked as follows. 2 golfers on the same team each tee off, then play the other's ball. For that, the team would play out the best shot. Chapman played on the winning Walker Cup teams in 1947, 1951, and 1953. Chapman's final success came in 1967 with a victory in the International Senior Amateur. A stroke in the early 1970s hampered his career, and he died in Rancho Santa Fe, California in 1978. Chapman was inducted into the Connecticut Golf Hall of Fame in 2001. Amateur wins. This list is probably incomplete. 1934 Westchester Amateur, 1936 Connecticut Amateur, 1938 Connecticut Amateur, 1939 French Open Amateur, New York State Amateur, 1940 U.S. Amateur, 1948 Golf Illustrated Gold Vase, 1949 Canadian Amateur, 1950 Massachusetts Amateur, 1951 British Amateur, New England Amateur, 1952 French Open Amateur, 1953 Carolinas Amateur, 1957 Carolinas Amateur, 1958 North and South Amateur, 1960 Italian Open Amateur, Major Championships. Amateur wins results timeline note: Chapman never played in PGA Championship. M equals medalist, LA equals low amateur, NYF equals tournament not yet founded, NT equals no tournament, DNP equals did not play, cut equals missed the halfway cut, DNQ equals did not qualify for match play portion, R256, R128, R64, R32, R16, QF, SF equals round in which player lost in match play. T indicates a tie for a place. Green background for wins. Source for the Masters: www.masters.com. Source for U.S. Open and U.S. Amateur USGA Championship database. Source for 1935 British Amateur, The Glasgow Herald, May 24, 1935, pg. 22. Source for 1936 British Amateur, The Glasgow Herald, May 26, 1936, pg. 20. Source for 1937 British Amateur, The Glasgow Herald, May 29, 1937, pg. 21. Source for 1939 British Amateur, The Glasgow Herald, May 27, 1939, pg. 3. Source for 1948 British Amateur, The Glasgow Herald, May 28, 1948, pg. 6. Source for 1952 British Amateur, The Glasgow Herald, May 30, 1952, pg. 2. Source for 1961 British Open, www.opengolf.com. Source: U.S. National Team Appearances. Amateur Walker Cup 1947, 1951, 1953.